Hello, and welcome to On Purpose, a video series where I interview intriguing leaders about their purpose and their impact. Today, I'd like to welcome Alex Douzet, who's the CEO of Pumpkin Pet Insurance, which was a new startup business that we launched in 2020. Before we start, I like an introduction to these adorable two dogs you brought today.
Here we have Belle, which was my first dog that I rescued. And then 3 years later, we rescued Simon.
They are adorable, and I have to say, incredibly well behaved, much better behaved than my dogs would be.
We'll see if that continues.
Talk to me a little bit about the role of pets growing up.
I come from a family that is big in farming. My grandfather and my grandmother had a farm. Both my parents worked on the farm for many, many years. My uncle actually still run the family farm. And so as a young person, when I was like 3 years old, I used to spend summer working on the farm. And that's where I developed my love for like animals, not just like companion animal, but also like livestock. Okay. And as a kid, when I was very young, I wanted to be maybe a veterinarian later when I grew up.
What initially attracted you to be an entrepreneur?
I think, maybe because I was like technically the fifth of like family of 5 kids. So when you're the youngest one, you kind of have to find a way to like disrupt the status quo so people pay attention to you. And maybe I got my like disrupting habits from that, because I was being super interested in like creating, building, disrupting industries. I moved in the United States in 1996. It was right after the Netscape IPO. I just thought what the internet could do as a revolution. And I was just fascinated by this. So I spent the whole time of my career working in the technology industry. And from there, I got the opportunity to launch my first company, which was The Ladders.
So what is it that finally attracted you to join Pumpkin?
I was concerned that like many pet parents will not be able to afford the care if they don't have an insurance. And when we look at mature market, like what we see in the UK, in Europe, or even in Australia, you see that 25 to 30% of pets have an insurance. Where in the US, at the time when we were talking, it was only 2%. So I felt like there was a good opportunity, and obviously like be able to partner with a company like Zoetis, that was super attractive to me, just to be able to like build a great brand and a great product and solve a pretty sizable pain point.
What's amazing to me is that you do not just triathlons, Ironmans, if I'm correct on that.
That's correct.
I mean, as someone who only and most did like a sprint triathlon, the training seems overwhelming. What does that training, how has that really helped you?
I think it helped me in 2 or 3 different ways. The first one is, a triathlon is something, well, an Ironman is something that you have to go at a high pace, but you can't just sprint. If you sprint out of the gate, you're not going to go very far. So you have to kind of think about, I need to race at maybe 80 to 85% of my full capacity, but for a long, sustained time. And there's a great analogy to building a company. You don't build a company like in 1 year or 2 years. You have to look more of a 7, 8, 9, 10-year horizon. But you have to go fast because it's a real challenging environment. If you don't succeed very quickly, the company can just collapse. So you have to be able to go fast while also sustaining a high pace. I learned to do that from my days in Ironman.
Well, Alex, that was a great way to end this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for listening today, and I hope you join me next month for another episode of On Purpose.